I wanted to share with you today some of the latest travel advice and information issued by the UK authorities for those of you who are interested in travelling to the UK this summer. As you know, both Romania and the UK have issued a number of travel measures in recent weeks. And that is predominantly reflective of the situation with COVID pandemic in both countries. These measures are clearly reviewed on a regular basis, and I would strongly advise you to keep up to date with the gov.uk website and also the embassy's social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter, where you can find the full travel advice for both countries. As things stand today, the UK government is advising against all but essential travel to Romania. And this is due to the overall COVID case numbers in Romania. So if you're traveling from the UK to Romania at the moment, there are currently no restrictions and you're not required to self-isolate on arrival. And this is in line with the Romanian government's travel advice for those traveling from the UK. But if you're traveling from Romania to the UK, you will need to isolate on arrival for the 14 days period. There are exemptions to this rule, and I will come to that in a minute. One practical point to bear in mind is that all passengers traveling from Romania to the UK will have to complete a passenger's locator form. This is an electronic form which can be found on the gov.uk website. There are also links on the embassy's Facebook and Twitter accounts. This is an electronic form which has to be completed prior to reaching the UK border. You will need to show the proof that you have completed the form to the UK officials at the UK border. And you can complete the form up to 48 hours before travelling. And I should say that the failure to comply completing the form is considered a criminal offence. So please don't forget to do that when you're preparing for your travels. The UK government has published a list of countries which are exempt from self-isolation and various other border measures after arriving in the UK. Understandably, because of the COVID situation and the number of cases in Romania, Romania is not on that list. But the UK government is reviewing the situation on a regular basis. So please do keep in touch with the updates on the gov.uk website, as well as the embassy's Twitter and Facebook accounts. I would now like to talk you through the list of different traveller types which are exempt from self-isolation and certain measures when travelling to the UK. First of all, if you're just a passenger that is transiting through UK airports, you don't have to do anything else apart from completing the passenger's locator form, which I mentioned earlier, because you won't be going through the UK border. Now, if you live in the UK but work in Romania, or the other way around, and your work requires you to travel at least once a week to the place of your work, you will have to complete the passenger's locator form, but you're not required to self-isolate on arrival if you're traveling to England, Wales, or Northern Ireland. At the moment, the rules for Scotland are different, and you will be required to self-isolate for 14 days after arriving in Scotland. I should mention that the specific rules applying to each region of the UK are also available on the gov.uk website, so please do read through these. You will also have to show the evidence that you work in one country and live in another, and that can be demonstrated if you have a letter from your employer, or if you're self-employed, your own certificate, and also an evidence of your travel arrangements, perhaps a season ticket if you have that. For those of you who are interested in seasonal work, you're also required to complete the passenger locator form. And you can start your work immediately in the UK after arriving, but you must remain on the farm where the work is taking place for the initial 14 days period. You will then have to follow the advice for seasonal agriculture workers coming to England, and that is available also on the gov.uk website. On arrival, you should also show a letter including details such as your name, date of birth, your employer's details, address and contact details as well. For those of you who are drivers of public service vehicles and other international carriage of passengers, either by coach or bus, or indeed carriage of goods, you will have to complete the passenger's locator form. You're not required to self-isolate on arrival, but you have to demonstrate on arrival that travel is part of your job, for example, with a letter from your employer or your operator's license. Postal workers is another category, so those involved in the transport of mail into and out of the UK. Apart from completing the passenger's locator form, you are exempt from having to self-isolate on arrival, and you will need to show a letter from your company which includes your name, your address, your employer's details, and the type of work that you're doing. For maritime pilots, seamen, and inspectors and surveyors of ships, equally, you're not required to self-isolate on arrival. You have to complete the passenger's locator form. And if you work on a ship, including fishermen, you should show what it's called a Seafarers Identification Document, or SID, if you have one. If you don't, you can show your employment agreement, a discharge book, or a basic training certificate confirming that you are a crew member on that ship. For pilots and crew members, there is no self-isolation requirement. You have to complete the passenger's locator form, and you have to show your badge or the ID at the UK border. Some of you might be also planning a trip to the UK as part of your planned medical and pre-arranged medical treatment. You will have to complete the passenger's locator form. You will be able to travel to and from your healthcare provider and the place where your treatment is taking place, but otherwise you will have to self-isolate in a way, or practically stay at the place where you will be residing in the UK. On arrival, you should show a S2 healthcare letter from your healthcare provider explaining your treatment. Some of you might also be accompanied by a carer during this trip. So in order for them to be exempt from self-isolation, they should also carry a letter from your healthcare provider explaining what their role is during that trip. And then finally, one thing that has changed the other way around recently is for registered health or care professionals. Until the end of July, professional health and care professionals who are registered were exempt from self-isolation on arrival in the UK. But from the 31st of July, that has changed, and therefore you will have to self-isolate in the UK for the initial 14 days period. Now, these are only some of the categories that are included in the recent travel advice by UK authorities. There are more, and they will be relevant to some of you depending on the specific sector or the industry that you work in. So please do read the advice, full advice, on the gov.uk website, and check the embassy's Facebook and Twitter accounts. So really, for those of you who are planning to travel to the UK in the coming period, I wish you a pleasant and a safe journey.